This video is the first in a multi-part series that focuses specifically on one of my favorite DeFi protocols, Convex Finance. The idea for this video began when I mentioned on my Twitter page that CVX holders who have locked their tokens in 4-month increments have earned around 30% APR on their holdings over the last 12 months. This statement led to a flurry of questions about the CVX token and the protocol. Has the yield always been this high? How long have users been earning it? And most importantly, where is the yield coming from? In this video, we will specifically cover the mechanism that has allowed CVX token holders to earn consistent double-digit yield on their CVX tokens over the last 4 years. As with my other videos in this series, the goal is to take complex topics like this one and make them as easy as possible to understand with clear analogies and simple examples. Let's get started. Now, you can't talk about Convex Finance without mentioning Curve, because they both go hand in hand. Curve is, simply put, a stablecoin-focused decentralized exchange, or DEX, where anyone can swap one crypto asset for another via liquidity pools. Essentially, an online, automated foreign currency exchange venue, but for crypto tokens. Now think of this Curve exchange as a giant concert venue with many stages. Each stage represents a specific Curve liquidity pool, and each stage wants the spotlight, because the spotlight, which represents CRV token emissions, attracts liquidity to the pools that it shines on. But there's limited spotlight to go around, and the people who control the spotlight are V-curve holders. V-curve holders are just individuals or protocols like Convex that have locked CRV tokens in a smart contract for up to 4 years. In exchange for locking their CRV tokens, they are rewarded with V-curve tokens, which represent those locked CRV tokens. These V-curve tokens give them voting power to direct future CRV emissions to various pools in the Curve ecosystem. Now here's the critical part. Convex holds a massive amount of V-curve, nearly 50% of all the V-curve currently in existence. This makes Convex one of the biggest spotlight controllers in the venue. We'll talk more about how Convex managed to acquire such a large position of V-curve in another video. For now, let's focus on how this V-curve dominance benefits CVX token holders. So Convex is basically one of the biggest spotlight controllers in the venue due to their massive V-curve holdings, and the CVX token is essentially the remote control that determines where Convex shines that spotlight. Just like locking CRV grants you voting power via V-curve, locking CVX grants you voting power for Convex. However, Convex vote locking only requires you to lock your CVX tokens in 4-month increments, as opposed to CRV locking, which can last for up to 4 years at a time. When you lock CVX tokens, you control a portion of Convex's votes. Convex votes determine which curve pools get CRV emissions. CRV emissions that are directed to a pool increase the yield on that pool, and the increased yield in that pool attracts capital or liquidity to the pool. The most liquid pools usually perform the best, allowing their respective protocols to thrive. This control of the spotlight that directs CRV emissions is what makes CVX so valuable. So how does all this translate to double-digit yield for CVX token holders exactly? Well, if a DeFi protocol's goal is to juice up liquidity in their curve pools, which they can do by increasing yields, they have to figure out a way to direct CRV emissions to their pools. And of course, the only way to direct CRV emissions to their pools is by controlling V-curve. So they either need to 1. Buy millions of CRV tokens and lock them for 4 years, 2. Buy millions of CVX tokens and lock them for 4 months at a time, or 3, pay those already locking their CVX to shine the spotlight on their pools. So instead of saying we need to spend millions buying CRV or CVX tokens to control V-curve, they say let's just pay CVX holders for their votes. It's cheaper, it's more efficient, and it allows protocols to bootstrap liquidity quickly and predictably. This payment to CVX lockers is called a bribe, but in DeFi it's really just an incentive. This is why locked CVX earns such high yields. Protocols literally pay you for your governance power. So let's break this down with a numerical example. Let's say you lock 1,000 CVX tokens for 4 months. This gives you 1,000 CVX worth of voting power, which we'll call VLCVX, short for vote locked CVX. This voting power is valid for the next 4 months as long as your CVX tokens are locked. At the end of that period, you can choose to relock your tokens or withdraw them from the smart contract. Now let's assume that the bi-weekly voting period arrives and a protocol wants votes for their pool. They offer $2,000 in incentives to CVX voters who vote to direct emissions to their pool for this round. Let's assume that 100,000 vote-locked CVX participates in the vote and votes to direct the portion of CRV emissions they control to this protocol's pool. That means that each VoteLock CVX token that voted for this pool earns 2 cents for that voting cycle. Assuming that you voted for this pool with your 1,000 VoteLock CVX tokens, you earn $20 for that round. And remember, you still have ownership over your CVX, and you can vote again in the next cycle for the same pool or a different one, depending on how much each protocol is willing to pay. These voting rounds occur every 2 weeks and have been ongoing since inception. Convex Finance just completed its 109th voting round last week. This is why CVX locking yields can look unusually high compared to other DeFi tokens. It's supported by ongoing demand from real protocols due to its power over CRV token emissions. So to sum it all up, here's a simple explanation for why CVX tokens are valuable and why they've been able to generate one of the highest yields in DeFi consistently over the last 4 years. V-curve drives curve emissions drive liquidity, liquidity drives adoption and growth, Convex controls huge amounts of V-curve, CVX holders control Convex, so CVX holders control where this liquidity flows, and protocols pay CVX holders for that influence. This combination gives CVX real utility, real demand, real yield, and real economic value. CVX doesn't pay high APR because of inflation, it pays high APR because protocols are paying you for something valuable. If you guys enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe, and look out for future videos on Convex Finance. I hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.